Today I would like to invite you to listen to the Dhammapada of the Buddha Shakyamuni, the 109th verse from the Buddhist scriptures on the YouTube channel TN Thai in the USA. For one who is in the habit of constantly honoring and respecting the elders, for blessings increase, age, beauty, bliss, and strength. In this verse, the Buddha teaches that habitual respect and reverence for those who have preceded us, whether parents, teachers, or elders, cultivates four profound blessings in life: longevity, physical well-being, inner joy, and vitality. Honoring the elders is more than an outward gesture of courtesy. It is a practice that nourishes the mind, cultivates humility, and aligns one's behavior with virtue. Stories in the Dhammapada illustrate disciples who, by consistently honoring those with wisdom and experience, experienced inner growth, resilience, and harmonious relationships. The mind trained in respect and reverence naturally develops patience, empathy, and ethical awareness. These qualities, in turn, manifest as blessings in life, supporting longevity of practice, clarity of mind, physical vitality, and a joyful heart. By cultivating honor for elders, the practitioner aligns daily actions with the principles of Dharma, generating merit that is both practical and spiritually transformative. The verse emphasizes that the practice of honoring elders is not limited to words or formal gestures, but is expressed through attentive listening, mindful service, and ethical engagement. To respect those who have accumulated wisdom and life experience is to recognize the impermanence of life, the value of learning, and the cultivation of moral and ethical discernment. The Buddha teaches that by observing the conduct, ethical reflection, and mindfulness of elders, practitioners absorb their example, internalize virtuous habits, and develop qualities essential for liberation. Stories in the Dhammapada recount disciples who, by carefully observing the virtues of elders and venerating their guidance, cultivated patience, humility, and insight. These virtues, in turn, enhance their health, vitality, and inner joy, demonstrating the four blessings described in the verse. Reverence becomes a vehicle for the mind to align with Dharma, producing merit that strengthens both worldly life and spiritual progress, highlighting the inseparable connection between ethical conduct, mindfulness, and the cultivation of blessings in life. The 109th verse also teaches the profound interrelationship between respect, ethical behavior, and the cultivation of blessings. When one practices constant honor toward elders, the mind is trained in humility, patience, and gratitude. This training has immediate and lasting effects on both internal and external conditions. The disciple who recognizes the wisdom, experience, and guidance of elders develops emotional resilience and ethical discernment. The Buddha emphasizes that longevity, beauty, bliss, and strength are not merely physical or material qualities. They reflect the harmonious alignment of mind, body, and ethical living. Stories in the Dhammapada recount individuals whose consistent respect for elders fostered harmony within families and communities, reduced conflict, and strengthened their ability to navigate challenges with clarity and ethical wisdom. The blessing of longevity arises naturally from ethical conduct, mental balance, and respect-driven interactions, creating conditions for both worldly and spiritual cultivation. Beauty reflects the harmony of body and mind. It emerges when the mind is serene, virtuous, and balanced, radiating outward. Bliss is the fruit of ethical action, mindfulness, and a mind free from anger and resentment. Strength reflects both the vitality of the body and the resilience of the mind, nurtured by humility, reverence, and consistent ethical practice. The verse also highlights the cumulative nature of merit. Constant honor for elders is a habit that, over time, transforms the mind and environment. The disciple who repeatedly listens attentively, serves selflessly, and reflects on the wisdom of elders gradually develops a mind characterized by calm, patience, and ethical clarity. Stories in the Dhammapada illustrate that disciples who cultivated this habit experienced growth in personal resilience, harmonious relationships, and inner peace. The Buddha teaches that by honoring those with experience and wisdom, one aligns oneself with the flow of Dharma, generating merit that supports both personal growth and the welfare of others. This habitual practice fosters qualities that manifest as blessings in the body, mind, and spirit. The four blessings described, age, beauty, bliss, and strength, arise from the ethical, mindful, and respectful engagement of the practitioner with the world and those who have guided them in life. Reverence, when sincere, becomes a foundation for enduring happiness, vitality, and inner freedom. The 109th verse also instructs practitioners to understand that blessings are inseparable from ethical cultivation and mindfulness. Respect for elders is a practice that shapes perception, speech, and action. The disciple who venerates elders with sincerity develops habits of attentiveness, humility, and careful speech, which extend into all areas of life. Stories in the Dhammapada recount individuals who, by serving and honoring teachers, parents, and elders, gradually developed patience in adversity, clarity in ethical decision-making, and calm in the face of challenges. These qualities are expressed outwardly as health, vitality, joy, and physical resilience, illustrating the four blessings described in the verse. The Buddha emphasizes that the true source of blessing is the mind. When the mind is trained in respect, humility, and ethical conduct, it naturally produces positive conditions in the body and environment. Beauty, in this context, is not merely external appearance but the reflection of inner harmony, balance, and ethical refinement. Bliss arises from ethical alignment, freedom from internal conflict, and the cultivation of loving kindness and gratitude. Strength emerges as a natural consequence of ethical action, mindfulness, and consistent attention to virtue. Furthermore, the verse teaches that habitual honor for elders generates profound karmic support. Each act of attentive respect strengthens the mind, cultivates patience, and aligns behavior with Dharma. Over time, these repeated acts create a fertile field for merit, insight, and inner calm. The Dhammapada recounts disciples whose lives were transformed through simple, sincere practices of honor and attentive care for elders. By internalizing these practices, they experienced greater resilience, harmonious relationships, and ethical clarity. The Buddha's teaching emphasizes that blessings are not accidental, but arise from continuous cultivation of ethical awareness, reverence, and mindfulness. The disciple who honors elders regularly nourishes the mind, body, and spirit, creating a foundation for long-term happiness, health, and ethical refinement. Reverence becomes both a practice of ethical engagement and a method for cultivating enduring merit. In addition, the 109th verse highlights the social and spiritual dimensions of honor. By cultivating constant respect for elders, the practitioner contributes to the creation of harmonious communities and ethical environments. Stories in the Dhammapada describe disciples who, through consistent practice of attentive honor and service, became models of virtue and mindfulness for their families and communities. Their ethical conduct inspired others, reduced conflict, and cultivated joy and resilience collectively. The Buddha emphasizes that blessings such as longevity, beauty, bliss, and strength are not merely personal rewards, but are interconnected with the welfare of others. Ethical engagement, attentive listening, and mindful respect toward elders create ripples of positive influence, strengthening relationships and fostering communal harmony. by internalizing the lessons, behavior, and wisdom of elders. The practitioner aligns with the principles of Dharma, cultivating insight, resilience, and ethical clarity that manifest in all aspects of life. Moreover, the verse teaches that honor must be expressed consistently and sincerely. Occasional or superficial gestures do not cultivate the profound blessings described. The disciple who makes reverence habitual experiences cumulative benefits, developing patience, humility, insight, and ethical clarity. Stories in the Dhammapada illustrate that even small acts of attentive respect, performed regularly, gradually transform the mind, cultivate serenity, and strengthen relationships with others. The Buddha teaches that blessings are inseparable from the quality of attention and sincerity applied in ethical practice. By making respect for elders a daily habit, the practitioner nurtures enduring merit, develops inner joy, and cultivates vitality and resilience. The blessings of age, beauty, bliss, and strength emerge naturally from this alignment of attention, ethical behavior, and mindful cultivation. The 109th verse further emphasizes that constant honor and respect toward elders is not only a practice that benefits the individual, but also a profound cultivation of karma that influences the surrounding environment and all living beings. When one consistently engages in sincere attention, listening, and service to those who possess wisdom, experience, and virtue, the mind naturally develops qualities that are essential for spiritual and worldly well-being. Patience is nurtured because the disciple learns to accept guidance without resistance, recognizing that elders have accumulated life experience and insight beyond one's immediate understanding. Humility arises as the practitioner becomes aware of the value of learning and the limitations of one's own knowledge, understanding that ethical living and mindfulness require guidance and reflection. Gratitude deepens the heart as one witnesses the efforts of elders in maintaining ethical conduct, teaching the Dharma, and modeling virtuous behavior. Each of these qualities, patience, humility, and gratitude, is a seed that, when cultivated continuously, grows into profound blessings that manifest as longevity, physical vitality, inner joy, and resilience of mind. The Dhammapada recounts numerous stories of disciples who, through habitual respect for elders, experienced not only improved health and mental clarity, but also harmonious relationships within their families and communities. Their ethical conduct became exemplary, influencing others to act mindfully and virtuously. This demonstrates that the blessings arising from honor are not only personal but extend outward, creating an environment of harmony, ethical awareness, and collective well-being. Furthermore, the verse teaches that such honor is most effective when it is habitual, integrated into daily life, and performed with sincerity of mind rather than as a superficial or formal gesture. The disciple who makes respect for elders a natural part of daily living continuously reinforces ethical awareness, mindfulness, and insight. Stories from the Dhammapada illustrate that even small acts of respectful attention, listening with full presence, offering assistance, expressing appreciation, or seeking guidance, accumulate over time, shaping character, transforming habitual tendencies, and generating enduring merit. These repeated actions produce conditions for longevity because the mind becomes calm, stress is reduced, and the body experiences the harmony that arises from ethical living. Vitality and strength emerge as a reflection of internal balance, cultivated through mindfulness, ethical conduct, and harmonious interactions with others. Inner bliss is nurtured as the heart opens to gratitude, humility, and compassion, allowing the mind to experience joy not contingent upon external circumstances, but rooted in the ethical cultivation of attention, respect, and reverence. The verse also emphasizes the connection between internal cultivation, and external manifestation. By honoring elders, the disciple aligns the mind with the principles of Dharma, absorbing lessons in patience, restraint, and wise conduct. This internal alignment naturally produces positive consequences in daily life, harmonious interactions with others, resilience in the face of challenges, and clarity in ethical decision-making. Stories in the Dhammapada recount disciples whose lives were transformed by the practice of attentive reverence. Their relationships with parents, teachers, and community members became more harmonious. Their capacity for ethical reflection deepened, and their minds became more tranquil. The Buddha teaches that the four blessings, age, beauty, bliss, and strength, emerge as a direct consequence of this internal cultivation, illustrating that ethical practice and reverent attention are more powerful than external wealth or superficial rituals. The blessings are interconnected. Longevity allows for continued practice and learning. Beauty reflects the harmony of body and mind. Bliss arises from ethical living and gratitude, and strength manifests as vitality and resilience. In addition, the verse highlights that honor for elders supports the cultivation of insight and wisdom. By observing and reflecting upon the actions, speech, and mindset of elders, the disciple gains clarity on impermanence, ethical living, and mindful engagement. This observation deepens understanding, allowing one to internalize principles of Dharma in a living and experiential way. The Dhammapada recounts disciples who, through attentive reverence, recognize the subtle causes of suffering and the conditions that support happiness. By learning directly from the example of elders, practitioners cultivate discernment, self-restraint, and ethical insight. This direct transmission of wisdom is far more powerful than theoretical knowledge or rote learning. Honor becomes a form of meditative practice in daily life. The disciple's attention is focused, the mind is open, and ethical reflection is continuous. The resulting merit nurtures both worldly and spiritual blessings, reinforcing the value of constant, sincere respect and attention toward those who guide us in the Dharma. Finally, the 109th verse teaches that the blessings arising from honoring elders are enduring and multiply over time. The merit generated is cumulative, producing effects not only for the individual but for the broader community. By integrating reverence into daily conduct, the practitioner fosters ethical living, mindfulness, and compassion, which in turn influence family, friends, and society. The Dhammapada stories illustrate that disciples who cultivate this habit experience not only personal benefits in health, joy, vitality, and longevity, but also inspire virtue and mindfulness in those around them. Reverence for elders thus becomes a practice with exponential impact. It cultivates internal merit, strengthens ethical behavior, nurtures communal harmony, and produces blessings that support continued spiritual growth. The Buddha emphasizes that consistent attention, respect, and honor toward those perfected in wisdom is one of the most powerful practices for cultivating enduring happiness, resilience, and insight, demonstrating that true blessing arises from ethical engagement, humility, and mindful reverence. May we reflect on the 109th verse, cultivating constant respect, attentiveness, and reverence toward elders and those who guide us in Dharma. By doing so, we nurture humility, ethical clarity, mindfulness, and compassion, creating blessings of longevity, vitality, inner joy, and strength. Let every act of honor and respect become a vehicle for inner cultivation and the benefit of all beings. Thank you for watching my video. Namo Amitabha. I wish to bring this merit towards all disciples and sentient beings, all of whom will attain Buddhahood. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate your time.